Hey, what's up, everybody? TJ here, co host of the Now Mind You podcast, back again with a new review of the latest chapter of Tokyo Avengers, of course, by Ken Wakui. Today, we're going to be reviewing chapter 269, titled All Things Must Pass. Just so you know, there will be spoilers in this, right? So, if you're not caught up, do what you need to do. Now, let's take a look at where we left off. Manjiro dropped the truth bomb on us, right? Shinichiro is a time leaper. Now let's get into a quick summary before we jam on into the review. We're back in Flashback City, but this time we're getting the memories of Sano Shinichiro from the main, quote unquote main, timeline. Let's hop into this review. Well, I don't know how to feel about this chapter. I guess it's just giving us a primer of Shinichiro's motivations to time leap, and even though the chapter doesn't touch on it yet, as the reader, one can already make the jump as to why Shinichiro would go back to the past given his motivations. Oh, you mean I can jump to the past and prevent my younger brother from a fate where he is destined to live, in quotes, in a vegetative state while confined to a wheelchair? Who wouldn't do what Shinichiro is about to do or did, right? I can recognize Takeomi, Benkei, and Wakasa, right? All looking young and in their primes. Now, also, we see quite the divergence with that model kit, specifically the Concorde airplane model kit. In the original timeline, if you will, right? The timeline we're seeing right now, Mikey builds the kit himself because, Shinichiro gives him that, like, hey, you get a month, bro. And then things go wrong when he tries to stop Baji and Haruchio from playing with it. At least that's what we're told inside of the ICU, right? By young Baji and young Haruchio. He falls down the stairs and ends up in that vegetative state situation. Noticeably absent from this flashback or from this timeline, though, it looks like Senju is. Now, according to chapter 241, right, in the timeline that we're aware of, or at least from Senju's perspective, Shinichiro assembled the kit, and Mikey seemed to be ominously protective of it. And of course, we end up with a Haruchio Joker moment, right? In both timelines, the kit ends up smashed against the floor. However, does the altering of the timeline manifest in Mikey's dark impulses? Or are the dark impulses something to do with the apparent brain activity loss of his soul in the main or prime timeline? Like, I'm getting at, like, are the different consciousnesses merging inside of Mikey's body, thus causing these dark impulses, if you will? Let me just go ahead and get into my predictions and questions section, since a lot of my stuff right now is just like hypotheticals. I hope the next chapter explores the actual trigger for Shinichiro's abilities, and we can see how similar or dissimilar those abilities are from Takemichi's, right? Does he also require somebody to help trigger his leaps? I'm going to take a gander, like, is Wakasa his trigger, right? What's the layout of the timelines? Time travel is always messy to think about. Is Mikey's dark impulse a consequence, like I mentioned earlier, of Shinichiro altering the timeline? And if that's the case, what are the implications for characters like Hina and Akun? They were also saved from certain death in other timelines by Takemichi. So does Takemichi's actions have adverse effects on the people I just mentioned, right? Where is Shinichiro currently? And I'm going to mention this again in a little bit. But also, hold on, wait a minute. Is this why Waka and Benkei switch over to Kanto? Why we all think they betrayed Brahman and therefore Senju? Is this because of their loyalty to Shinichiro? And to add on to a point I just made a couple seconds ago, is Benkei potentially one of Shinichiro's triggers? I guess we'll find out if they give us, what are the triggers for Shinichiro's abilities. Now, how does this wrap up? I'm seeing three possibilities now, right? Mikey accepts Takemichi's salvation, or at least three, right? Mikey accepts Takemichi's salvation but somehow dies. Mikey accepts Takemichi's salvation and finally serves time. Or Shinichiro reveals himself and, there's some consequences for his actions thus far in manipulating the timeline. Again, the Sano family, straight up like the Skywalker family, just tragedy after tragedy. And shout out to Grandpa Sano, because no matter what timeline, he seems to just take it the worst, man. Like, looking at, like, who wants to see their family disappear one after another like that, right? We still need to explore the resemblances between Shinichiro, Takemichi, and, Mikey and Shinichiro's father. Did Shinichiro just go dark? Did he go evil, right? And again, I still feel like Mikey has some death flags on him. We still have the two Agents of Chaos on the board in Sanzu and Hanma. All in all, this was actually a really good chapter if you really think about it, right? And I can't wait to read everyone else's thoughts. Thanks, as always, to Creepy Kitten, Guts Guy, Riolu, Moonfox for holding it down in the comments. Shout out to the Tokyo Revengers subreddit. Shout out to all of you who took the time to watch and listen to this right now. Thank you, as always. And if you like what you're hearing, hit up the main podcast. We're on pretty much all podcast distribution platforms. Just look up Now Mind You Podcast. And if you want to give us a follow on any social media or check out our Discord, at Now Mind You Pod, NOWMINDYOUPOD. And if you like what I do, hit me up, Tuss4Skate, TUSS _4_SKATE on Instagram. Peace, y'all.